Turn to Ukraine. This morning, the mayor of Kyiv says energy and water supply has been fully restored after yesterday's shutdown, but many parts of the country remain in the dark as Russia continues its attacks on Ukraine's infrastructure. NBC's Molly Hunter has more.
This morning, the capital city recovering from major attacks on critical infrastructure, the Russian military essentially laying siege to cities across the country. Late last night, President Putin threatening this was not all Russia could have done. A senior U.S. military official telling NBC News Monday's strikes had widespread impact on Ukraine's power grid. A senior U.S. defense official adding they're directly harming the civilian population. Also new overnight, a senior U.S. defense official and senior U.S. military official telling NBC News U.S. military personnel are now inspecting Ukrainian weapons inside Ukraine in an attempt to track the billions of dollars of U.S. weapons. NBC News exclusively reporting that President Biden has been frustrated with President Zelensky in the past, losing his temper at the Ukrainian leader's extensive request for help in a phone call back in June. Overnight, residents here in Kyiv filling up on water. This is the first time we've lost water during the war, this woman says. It's harder than losing electricity, but she adds we're fighting back. Just 30 minutes away in the town next to one of the major power plants the Russians hit on Monday, mother of two, 29-year-old Olha Parshakova, tells us she's out of gas, water, and electricity. But when her kids asked if the missiles were thunder overhead, she didn't lie.
I tell true, and I say that it's a rocket.
Nastya Sanikova, also a mother of two, says they're also completely shut off.
What's it like as a mother to protect your kids right now?
Страшно.
She says, compare it to the natural world, and I am like a lioness protecting my lion cubs. Her 9-year-old son Kirill says nothing can be warmed up and it's really dark. And without Wi-Fi, there's no school.
When was the last time you went to school?
I don't even remember, he says.
NBC's Molly Hunter reporting for us from Kyiv there. Joining us now, National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications at the White House, retired Rear Admiral John Kirby. Admiral Kirby, thanks for your time this morning. These attacks on power and water sources across the country, but especially around the capital of Kyiv, plainly attacks on the civilian population there. What more can be done to stop those?
Well, for one thing, we're going to continue to work with Ukraine to make sure we can boost up their air defense capabilities. Willie, you saw that Secretary Austin said we're going to accelerate some of the delivery of these some advanced surface-to-air missile systems that we're sending them. We've gotten countries like France and Spain to contribute additional mid-term air defense capability, mid-range air defense capabilities. So we're working hard to get that. That part of it is helping them being able to prevent the attacks in the first place. The other thing that we're doing, Willie, is working with allies and partners in the region to make sure we can help provide whatever assistance they need, the Ukrainians need, to get their infrastructure back up and running again, whether that's spare parts, whether that's technical assistance, whether that's the delivery of natural gas and other fuels from outside Ukraine into the country as the winter approaches.
Admiral Kirby, good morning. It's Jonathan Lemire. I wanted to ask you about Putin pulling out of the Black Sea grain export deal, which is significant. And we heard from President Zelensky in the last couple of days suggesting that Putin is blackmailing the world with hunger. Putin did so because he claims that Ukraine had used a safe corridor there in the Black Sea to attack the Russian fleet. Ukraine does not accept the responsibility. So my couple-part question here is simply, does the U.S. know what happened there? What are steps being taken to restore this deal? And how concerned are you about potential for global famine because of it?
Well, it's obviously deeply concerning, Jonathan. I mean, before the Russians announced this temporary suspension, something like 9 million tons of foodstuffs and grain were able to get out of Ukraine through this deal to places all around the world where hunger is a real thing and people are in desperate need of this food. So this deal matters a lot, and we want to continue to see it go forward. It was supposed to get up for another extension here later this month. We're still hopeful that we can get there, and we're still going to work very hard with partners in the region to see if we can't get this deal extended, because it does matter. I would just tell you, I mean, again, they announced they wanted to suspend this temporarily, which of course the president called atrocious. But 22 ships did get out of Ukraine yesterday with grain on board. That was a good sign. So we'll see where this goes.
Admiral, let's talk logistics and weaponry here for a second. What is the degree of difficulty? Is it growing in getting weaponry? into Ukraine, into various parts of Ukraine?
We have not had any special difficulties, Mike, getting arms and weapons and capabilities into Ukraine. There is still a very robust process that takes place outside the country, of course, where the United States is helping coordinate the assembly and then the delivery into Ukraine of all these weapons and capabilities. And what I can tell you is that that continues. It continues every single day. And there are times, Mike, when we're able to get stuff from the time the president orders it into the hands of Ukrainian soldiers in just a matter of days, depending, of course, on the system and the availability of the transportation. But this is a process that's ongoing, and we haven't seen any major disruptions to it.
Admiral, I want to shift the conversation to our politics here at home and our national security here at home pertaining to it. And the attack on Paul Pelosi, the fact that San Francisco police now say it was indeed politically motivated. And there are obvious parallels to the January 6th attack on the Capitol in terms of what the attacker said and was studying on his websites and blogs. And we have political leaders who are pushing conspiracy theories and at least not making an attempt to tamp down rhetoric that could lead to political violence. Could you speak to the impact on our national security and what needs to be done?
I think one of the things that's so wonderful about being an American citizen is that we elect our leaders. We should be proud and confident in the process by which our representatives are put into that office, which means that we have to be open to discourse and debate, of course, and to hearing all sides. But not to demonize another. I mean, the partisanship, the polarization has gotten to the point now where physical safety is actually at risk. And we should be way above that. That should not be a part of our political discourse. It should not be a part of who we are as citizens or as voters. And look, I mean, frankly, this kind of despicable violence against Mr. Pelosi, despicable violence against anybody in a political realm, should be the easiest thing in the world to condemn. I mean, it should be so binary, right, wrong. I mean, there's just really, this is not a difficult problem set.
National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications at the White House, retired Rear Admiral John Kirby, thank you very much for being on this morning.